Step 1 in the recipe is to preheat your oven to 325 degrees. This recipe we're going to be using 2.5 to 3 bananas. When you are making the muffins, you want to make sure that your bananas are ripe. So how can you tell when bananas are ripe? Just take a look at the peel or the skin of the banana. See all of these brown spots here? The more brown the banana is, the more ripe it is. Okay, so I've peeled the ripe bananas and I've put them into a bowl. Next, I'm going to take a fork and mash up the bananas. Okay, so observe the consistency of the bananas once that they are all mashed up with a fork. To the bananas, now I'm going to add the rest of our wet ingredients. So that will be the 2 eggs. I'm going to now incorporate the eggs and the bananas together and then continue to add the wet ingredients to this. I'm going to keep mixing with my fork until all is combined. Next, I'm going to add my 1/4 cup of milk and continue to mix. The ingredient we're adding is 1/3 cup of oil. So I'm using vegetable oil in this recipe. There have been plenty of times when I've used coconut oil as a healthier substitute. Continue to mix. 1 teaspoon of vanilla is next. We're going to continue to mix. Okay, so this is our wet ingredient bowl completed. Now we're going to move on to the dry ingredients in our second bowl. Next up are our dry ingredients, which are going to go in a separate mixing bowl. So first we have our whole wheat flour. We're using 1 3/4 cup of whole wheat flour. So I've got my 1 cup measure. I have my 1/2 cup measure and my 1/4 cup measure. So whole wheat flour has a ton of fiber in it, which is great for digestion, making it a healthy choice. So we're going to add that in. I spooned in and leveled off my flour into my measuring cups. So I'm going to add that into. Next, we're going to be adding 1/3 cup of oats. Oats are also an excellent source and are super heart healthy. Next ingredient is going to add some sweetness to our recipe. So we're adding 1/2 cup of sugar. You can also substitute a 1/2 cup of maple syrup. You can use 1/2 cup of honey, but today we are using 1/2 cup sugar. Next up is our leavening agent, baking soda. So we're using 1 teaspoon of baking soda, which I have already pre-measured. Also, we're using 1/2 teaspoon of salt and 1/2 teaspoon of cinnamon for some spice. So we're going to add that in next. Okay, so here are all of our dry ingredients. I want you to observe them in the separate bowl. We're going to use a whisk to combine them all, and I'll show you what that looks like once it's done. So here are our ingredients. I have my dry ingredient bowl all mixed together. I have my wet ingredient bowl all mixed together. Now it's time to combine the two. I'll show you what that looks like. I'm going to add a little bit at a time until they are just moistened. Okay, so I'm going to start off by adding a little bit of the wet ingredients into the bowl. And I'm going to use my whisk to start combining. This is called the muffin method. You just want to combine the ingredients so the wet and dry are just moistened. So I'm going to go slowly so I don't spill. And I'll show you what that looks like once I am done. Okay, again, I'm adding the ingredients slowly together. And I'll show you what it looks like once I'm done mixing. Okay, so here is the muffin mixture when it is combined. Again, I mixed it just so both dry ingredients are slightly or just moistened. You don't want to overmix the muffin batter because you don't want tough muffins. So now we are going to use the 1/4 cup measure. to scoop out the muffin batter into our muffin pan cups. Before scooping the muffin batter into the cups, we are going to quickly give the pan a spray. Coat it with some cooking spray so the muffins don't stick to the pan as they bake into the oven. You can also line the cups with cupcake liners or muffin liners. So again, I'm going to take my 1/4 cup measure. I'm going to scoop out some batter, wipe off the excess, and then I'm going to put the batter into each cup, leaving some space at the top. You don't want to overfill the cups because then you won't allow them to rise. You don't give them room to rise. So I'm filling the cups about 3/4 full, making sure all of the cups are even. I'll show you what that looks like once I'm done filling all of them. I have all of my muffins filled. Something I just want to take note of is if you get some batter on the pan, you can take a napkin or paper towel and just wipe any excess so when it bakes in the oven it won't burn. We go in the oven now for 22 to 25 minutes at 325 degrees. I'll show you what the muffins look like when they're all done. So here are the muffins right out of the oven. So we're gonna do the toothpick test to make sure that they are fully cooked properly on the inside. So all you do is insert a toothpick in the center of your muffin, and if it comes out dry, you know that the muffins are baked properly. As you can see, they have risen really nicely in the oven, so we're gonna let these cool and then we're gonna eat. So enjoy.